Hello, welcome in. Gonna get started in just a couple of minutes here. All right, let me see. Just to show you I'm not playing around, I do have the book right here. I'll be starting reading in just a moment. This. All right, let's go ahead and get cozy. All right, welcome in. I don't know how many folks are logged in right now, but we're gonna be reading some Edgar Allan Poe tonight. And if anyone decides to stick around for a little bit, then we can also maybe have a little bit of a discussion about some of the poems. But otherwise, this is really just going to be a really chill stream. This will just be something really soothing for after a long day at work. All right, we're going to start with Tamerlane. It says, the original longer version of this poem first appeared in Tamerlane and Other Poems in 1827. The revised shorter version was published in Al-Araf, Tamerlane, and Minor Poems in 1829. And it says this version of it was included in The Raven and Other Poems in 1845. Kind solace in a dying hour, such, Father, is not now my theme. I will not madly deem that power of earth may shrive me of the sin unearthly pride hath revelled in. I have no time to dote or dream. You call it hope, that fire of fire. It is but agony of desire. If I can hope, O God, I can. Its fount is holier, more divine. I would not call thee fool, old man, but such is not a gift of thine. Know thou the secret of a spirit, bowed from its wild pride into shame. O yearning heart, I did inherit thy withering portion with the fame, the searing glory which hath shone amid the jewels of my throne. Halo of hell, and with a pain, not hell shall make me fear again. O craving heart for the lost flowers, and sunshine of my summer hours, the undying voice of that dead time, with its interminable chime, rings in the spirit of a spell upon thy emptiness a knell. I have not always been as now, the fevered diadem on my brow I claimed and won usurpingly, hath not the same fierce heirdom given Rome to the Caesar, this to me, the heritage of a kingly mind, and a proud spirit which hath striven triumphantly with humankind. On mountain soil I first drew life, the mists of the Taglay have shed nightly their dews upon my head, and, I believe, the winged strife and tumult of the headlong air have nestled in my very hair. So late from heaven that dew it fell, mid dreams of an unholy night, upon me with the touch of hell, while the red flashing of the light from clouds that hung like banners o'er appeared to my half-closing eye the pageantry of monarchy, and the deep trumpet thunder's roar came hurriedly upon me, telling of human battle where my own voice, silly child, was swelling. Oh, how my spirit would rejoice and leap within me at the battle cry of victory. The rain came down upon my head, unsheltered, and the heavy wind rendered me mad and deaf and blind. It was but man, I thought, who shed laurels upon me, and the torrent of the chilly air, gurgled within my ear the crush of empires with the captive's prayer, the hum of suitors, and the tone of flattery round a sovereign's throne. My passions from that hapless hour usurped a tyranny which men have deemed since I have reached to power. My innate nature, be it so, but father, there lived one who then in my boyhood, when their fire burned with a still intenser glow, for passion must with youth expire, e'en then who knew this iron heart in woman's weakness had a part. I have no words, alas, to tell the loveliness of loving well, nor would I now attempt to trace the more than beauty of a face, whose lineaments upon my mind are shadows on the unstable wind. Thus I remember having dwelt some page of early lore upon, with loitering eye till I have felt the letters with their meaning melt to fantasies with none. Oh, she was worthy of all love, love as in infancy was mine. 'Twas such an angel of minds above might envy her young heart the shrine on which my every hope and thought were incense, then a goodly gift, for they were childish and upright, pure as her young example taught. Why did I leave it and adrift trust to the fire within for light? We grew in age and love together, roaming the forest and the wild, my breast her shield in wintry weather, and when the friendly sunshine smiled, and she would mark the opening skies, I saw no heaven but in her eyes. Young love's first lesson is the heart, for mid that sunshine and those smiles, when from our little cares apart, and laughing at her girlish wiles, I'd throw me on her throbbing breast, and pour my spirit out in tears. There was no need to speak the rest, no need to quiet any fears of her who asked no reason why, but turned on me her quiet eye. Yet more than worthy of the love my spirit struggled with and strove, when on the mountain peak alone ambition lent it a new tone. I had no being but in thee, the world and all it did contain, in the earth, the air, the sea, its joy, its little lot of pain. That was new pleasure, the ideal, dim vanities of dreams by night, and dimmer nothings which were real, shadows, and a more shadowy light, parted upon their misty wings, and so confusedly became thine image a name, two separate yet most intimate things. I was ambitious, have you known the passion, father, you have not. A cottager, I marked a throne of half the world all as my own, and murmured at such lowly lot. But just like any other dream, upon the vapor of the dew, my own had passed, did not the beam of beauty which did while it throw, the minute, the hour, the day oppress my mind with double loveliness. We walked together on the crown of a high mountain which looked down afar from its proud natural towers of rock and forest on the hills, the dwindled hills begirt with bowers, and shouting with a thousand rills. I spoke to her of power and pride, but mystically in such guise that she might deem it naught beside the moment's converse in her eyes. I read, perhaps too carelessly, a mingled feeling with my own. The flush on her bright cheek to me seemed to become a queenly throne, too well that I should let it be light in the wilderness alone. I wrapped myself in grandeur then, and donned a visionary crown, yet it was not that fantasy had thrown her mantle over me, but that among the rabble men lion ambition is chained down, and crouches to a keeper's hand. Not so in deserts where the grand, the wild, the terrible conspire with their own breath to fan his fire. Look round thee now on Samarcand. Is not she queen of earth, her pride, above all cities in her hand, their destinies and all beside, of glory which the world hath known, stands she not nobly and alone? Falling, her veriest stepping stone shall form the pedestal of a throne, and who her sovereign, Timur, he, whom the astonished people saw, striding o'er empires haughtily, and diademed outlaw. O human love, thou spirit given, on earth of all we hope in heaven, which fall'st into the soul like rain upon the syrup withered plain, and failing in thy power to bless, but leaves the heart a wilderness. Idea which bindest life around with music of so strange a sound, and beauty of so wild a birth, farewell, for I have won the earth. When hope, the eagle that towered, could see no cliff beyond him in the sky, his pinions were bent droopingly, and homeward turned his softened eye. 'Twas sunset, when the sun will part, there comes a sullenness of heart to him who still would look upon the glory of the summer sun. That soul will hate the evening mist, so often lovely, and will list to the sound of the coming darkness known to those spirits hearken as one who in a dream of night would fly, but cannot from a danger nigh. What though the moon, the white moon, shed all the splendor of her noon? Her smile is chilly, and her beam in that time of dreariness will seem so like you gather in your breath a portrait taken after death. And boyhood is a summer sun whose waning is the dreariest one, for all we live to know is known, and all we seek to keep hath flown. Let life then as the dayflower fall with the noonday beauty which is all. I reached my home no more, for all had flown who made it so. I passed out from its mossy door, and though my tread was soft and low, a voice came from the threshold stone of one whom I had earlier known. Oh, I defy thee, hell, to show on beds of fire that burn below a humbler heart, a deeper woe. Father, I firmly do believe, I know, for death, who comes for me, from regions of the blessed afar, where there is nothing to deceive, hath left his iron gate ajar, and rays of truth you cannot see are flashing through eternity. I do believe that Iblis hath a snare in every human path, Else how, when in the holy grove, I wondered of the idol love, who daily scents his snowy wings with incense of burnt offerings from the most unpolluted things, whose pleasant bowers are yet so riven above with trellicked rays from heaven. No mote may shun, no tiniest fly, the lightning of his eagle eye. How was it that ambition crept, unseen amid the revels there, till growing bold he laughed and leapt in the tangles of love's very hair? And that's Tamerlane. Hmm. Let's stretch a bit. Let's see who we've got. Ah, thank you so much. I probably didn't see because I was reading a bit. Hmm. There was one verse of this that I really liked. I really liked the section that said, "What though the moon, the white moon, shed all the splendor of her noon? Her smile is chilly, and her beam in that time of dreariness will seem so like you gather in your breath a portrait taken after death. And boyhood is a summer sun, whose waning is the dreariest one. For all we live to know is known, and all we seek to keep hath flown. Let life then as the day flower fall, with the noonday beauty, which is all." I really love that section, just because I resonate with that a lot, especially now. It just, like, you feel the loss of your innocence, which, I mean, it's something that you can't escape, and for some people, they lose their innocence far sooner than others. And just when it says, "Whose waning is the dreariest one, for all we live to know is known," the more knowledge we have, the sadder it seems to make us. And yet, I think those of us who do have knowledge of certain darker things, I don't think that we would ever be willing to trade that knowledge for anything. I don't think we would want to lose it because I think we would be afraid of what we would become without it. We wouldn't be as full of a person anymore if we didn't know the things that we've learned, even if we had to learn them through suffering. But I suppose I can jump on to the next poem. The next one in this list is Evening Star. It says this one was published in Tamerlane and Other Poems in 1827, but it was never printed again during Poe's lifetime. Evening Star. 'Twas noontide of summer and midtime of night, and stars in their orbits shone pale through the light of the brighter cold moon, mid planets her slaves, herself in the heavens, her beam on the waves. I gazed awhile on her cold smile, too cold for me, there passed as a shroud, a fleecy cloud, and I turned away to thee, proud evening star, in thy glory afar, and dearer thy beam shall be. For joy to my heart is the proud part thou bearest in heaven at night, and more I admire thy distant fire than that colder lowly light. That one's shorter, but still really beautiful. I just, I've, I've been really enjoying reading Edgar Allan Poe, and I hadn't read much of it. Um, so it's still pretty new to me, and I want to do a little bit better about reading more Goth literature and just making sure that I really get a full picture of the history. Because even though Goth culture is a music-based subculture, which of course has its politics rooted within that, um, the other aspects of the culture, like the attachment to morbid things and darker things, uh, that's all part of it too, and that has a lot to do with what infiltrates our politics as well. Um, because it is that morbidity that gives us a deeper appreciation for life, I believe. And I think that that has a lot to do with why we have such low tolerance for treating other human beings poorly. Because we understand that life is fleeting and that it can be taken from us at any time. And we understand the pain that there is in loss. Um, but enough rambling on that. Let's see. Just want to make sure that my chat on the other end is working as well. Because I'm streaming this on a couple other platforms as well. For those of you who are on TikTok, um, I'm also streaming this on Twitch and YouTube right now. Um, and now Twitch, I'm like brand new on there, so I don't have any followers there yet. I just created the account. But YouTube, I have a few followers on there, but I hadn't done any lives on there, so that's going to take some building up and seeing if anyone actually joins. But I'll go ahead and move on to the next poem, which is Spirits of the Dead, which says this one was first published in Tamerlane and Other Poems in 1827 with the title Visit of the Dead, and it appeared with this title in Alaraf Tamerlane and Minor Poems in 1829. Spirits of the Dead. Thy soul shall find itself alone, mid dark thoughts of the grey tombstone, not one of all the crowd to pry into thine hour of secrecy. Be silent in that solitude, which is not loneliness, for then the spirits of the dead who stood in life before thee are again, in death around thee, and their will shall then overshadow thee. Be still. For the night, though clear, shall frown, and the stars shall not look down from their high thrones in the heaven, with light like hope to mortals given, but their red orbs without beam to thy weariness shall seem as a burning and a fever which would cling to thee forever. Now are thoughts thou shalt not banish, now are visions ne'er to vanish. From thy spirit they shall pass, no more like dewdrop from the grass. The breeze, the breath of God is still, and the mist upon the hill, shadowy, shadowy, yet unbroken, is a symbol and a token. How it hangs upon the trees, a mystery of mysteries. Let me see, what would be my favorite verse from that one? It was a pretty short one. I think the second verse really jumped out to me the most. Just the be silent in that solitude, which is not loneliness, for then the spirits of the dead who stood in life before thee are again, in death around thee, and their will shall then o'ershadow thee. Be still. I just like it. It's very spooky and creepy, very graveyard vibes. Um, and I do, unironically, like going to cemeteries on the reg. Um, they're great places to cry. So if you're ever having a really bad day, you should just go to a cemetery and just cry it out. All right, well, thanks for popping in. I know it's been a bit hard for me to pay close attention to chat. Um, but tonight's just supposed to be a really chill evening of just reading. Um, I am going to be live streaming every week, not necessarily reading every week just yet. Um, but every Thursday evening from 6 to 7, I'll be doing a little something different each time. I like to switch it up a bit with different themes. Hmm. You know what? I am gonna get some water though. Don't want my throat to get too dry from reading. Oh, hmm? That's a no-go, I'm guessing. What are you referring to? I might have missed something in chat. All right, let me see how long this one is. Okay, this is another short one. This is Fairyland. This one was published in the Yankee and Boston Literary Gazette in September of 1829, and it was included in the Alleroff Tamerlane and Minor Poems in 1829. Poems 1831, and The Raven and Other Poems 1845. Fairyland. Dim vales, and shadowy floods, and cloudy looking woods, whose forms we can't discover, for the tears that drip all over. Huge moons there wax and wane, again, 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 every moment of the night, forever changing places. And they put out the starlight with the breath from their pale faces. About 12 by the moon dial, one more filmy than the rest, a kind which, upon trial, they have found to be the best, comes down, still down, and down, with its center on the crown of a mountain's eminence, while its wide circumference in easy drapery falls over hamlets, over halls, wherever they may be, o'er the strange woods, o'er the sea, over spirits on the wing, over every drowsy thing, and buries them up quite in a labyrinth of light. And then how deep, oh deep, is the passion of their sleep. In the morning they arise, and their moony covering is soaring in the skies, with the tempests as they toss, like almost anything, or a yellow albatross. They use that moon no more, for the same end as before. Vittalis set a tent, which I think extravagant. Its atomies, however, into a shower dissever, of which those butterflies of earth who seek the skies, and so come down again, never contented things, have brought a specimen upon their quivering wings. Oh, hello. Are you going to join us? Come on. It's my cat. Come on. Yeah, come on. Come join us. Come join us, my love. This is Des. She has to be by my side at all times. Yes, yes. Come on. Settle down. Settle down, dear. Come on. Lay down. You need to lay down. There we go. That's a good girl. Good girl. Yeah, that's my baby. That's my baby. All right. Let me see how long this one is. This one I think is going to be a little bit of a longer one. Oh yeah, this one's really long. Hmm. Well, I'll go ahead and read it. Apparently this is one of Edgar Allan Poe's maybe more famous poems because he did title, I guess, one of his anthologies after it. Let's see. Written in his youth, it is Poe's longest poem. It was first published in his collection Al-Araf, Tamerlane, and Minor Poems in December of 1829, and then with revisions in Poems in 1831. This version is taken from The Raven and Other Poems of 1845. Yes, my darling. What is it? What is it, my girlfriend? Well, this stream just got way cozier, so now that I've got the happy little kitty here. All right, my darling. Yes. No, no, you settle down. If I pet her too much, she gets excited. All right. Alaraf. Oh, nothing earthly save the ray thrown back from flowers of beauty's eye, as in those gardens where the day springs from the gems of circumcise. Oh, nothing earthly save the thrill of melody in woodland rill, or music of the passion-hearted, joy's voice so peacefully departed, that like the murmur in the shell, its echo dwelleth and will dwell. Oh, nothing of the dross of ours, yet all the beauty, all the flowers, that list our love and deck our bowers, adorn yon world afar, afar, the wandering star. 'Twas a sweet time for Nessots, for there her world lay lolling on the golden air, near four bright suns, a temporary rest, an oasis in desert of the blest. Away, away, mid seas of rays that roll, empyrean splendor o'er the unchained soul, the soul that scarce the billows are so dense, can struggle to its destined eminence. To distant spheres from time to time she rode, and late to ours the favored one of God, but now the ruler of an anchored realm, she throws aside the scepter, leaves the helm, and amid incense and high spiritual hymns, laves in quadruple light her angel limbs. Now happiest, loveliest in yon lovely earth, whence sprang the idea of beauty into birth, falling in wreaths thro' many a startled star, like woman's hair mid pearls until afar it lit on hills Achaean and dwelt. She looked into infinity and knelt. Rich clouds for canopies about her curled, fit emblems of the model of her world, seen but in beauty, not impeding sight of other beauty glittering through the light. A wreath that twined each starry form around, and all the opaled air in color bound. All hurriedly she knelt upon a bed of flowers of lilies, such as reared the head on the fair Capo Ducato, and sprang so eagerly around about to hang upon the flying footsteps of deep pride of her who loved a mortal and so died. The cephalica, budding with young bees, upreared its purple stem around her knees, and gemmy flowered and trebosomed misnamed, inmate of highest stars where's erst it shamed. All other loveliness its honeyed dew the fabled nectar that the heathen knew, deliriously sweet, was dropped from heaven, and fell on gardens of the unforgiven, in Trebizond and on a sunny flower, so like its own above that, to this hour, it still remaineth, torturing the bee, with madness and unwonted reverie. In heaven and all its environs the leaf and blossom of the fairy plant in grief, disconsolate linger, grief that hangs her head, repenting follies that full long have fled, heaving her white breast to the balmy air, like guilty beauty chastened and more fair. Nicanthes too, as sacred as the light, she fears to perfume, perfuming the night, and Clytia pondering between many a sun, while pettish tears adown her petals run, and that aspiring flower that sprang on earth, and died ere scarce exalted into birth, bursting its odorous heart in spirit to wing its way to heaven from garden of a king, and Vallisnerian lotus thither flown from struggling with the waters of the Rhone, and thy most lovely purple perfume Zante, Isola d'oro, fior de Levante, and the Nelumbo bud that floats forever with Indian Cupid down the holy river, fair flowers and fairy to whose care is given to bear the goddess song and odors up to heaven. Spirit that dwellest where in the deep sky the terrible and fair in beauty vie, beyond the line of blue, the boundary of the star which turneth at the view of thy barrier and thy bar, of the barrier overgone by the comets who were cast from their pride and from their throne, to be drudges till the last, to be carriers of fire, the red fire of their heart, with speed that may not tire, and with pain that shall not part, who livest that we know, in eternity we feel, but the shadow of whose brow what spirit shall reveal, though the beings whom thy Nessos, thy messenger hath known, have dreamed for thy infinity a model of their own. Thy will is done, O God, the star hath ridden high through many a tempest, but she rode beneath thy burning eye, and here in thoughts to thee, in thoughts that can alone ascend thy empire and so be a partner of thy friend. By winged fantasy my embassy is given, till secrecy shall knowledge be in the environs of heaven. She ceased, and buried then her burning cheek, abashed amid the lilies there to seek a shelter from the fervor of his eye, for the stars trembled at the deity. She stirred not, breathed not, for a voice was there, half solemnly pervading the calm air, a sound of silence on the startled ear, which dreamy poets name the music of the sphere. Ours is a world of words, quiet we call silence, which is the merest word of all. All nature speaks, and even ideal things flap shadowy sounds from visionary wings. But ah, not so when, thus in realms on high, the eternal voice of God is passing by, and the red winds are withering in the sky. What though in worlds which sightless cycles run, linked to a little system and one sun, where all my love is folly and the crowd still think my terrors but the thunder cloud, the storm, the earthquake, and the ocean wrath, ah, will they cross me in my angrier path? What though in worlds which own a single sun, the sands of time grow dimmer as they run, yet thine is my resplendency so given, to bear my secrets through the upper heaven. Leave tenantless thy crystal home and fly with all thy train athwart the moony sky, apart like fireflies in Sicilian night, and winged to other worlds another light. Divulge the secrets of thy embassy to the proud orbs that twinkle, and so be to every heart a barrier and a ban, lest the stars totter in the guilt of man. Uprose the maiden in the yellow night, the single mooned eye, on earth we plight. Our faith to one love and one moon adore, the birthplace of young beauty had no more. As sprang that yellow star from downy hours, uprose the maiden from her shrine of flowers, and bent o'er sheeny mountain and dim plain her way, but left not yet her Thracian reign. And now on to part two. And hello and welcome in. We are currently on part two of Alaraf, which is Edgar Allan Poe's longest poem. High on a mountain of enamelled head, such as the drowsy shepherd on his bed, of giant pasturage lying at his ease, raising his heavy eyelid starts and sees, with many a muttered hope to be forgiven, what time the moon is quadrated in heaven, of rosy head that towering far away into the sunlit ether caught the ray of sunken suns at eve, at noon of night, while the moon danced with a fair stranger light. Upreared upon such height arose a pile of gorgeous columns on the unburdened air, flashing from Parian marble that twin smile, far down upon the wave that sparkled there, and nursed the young mountain in its lair. Of molten stars their pavement such as fall through the ebon air, besilvering the pall of their own dissolution, while they die, adorning then the dwellings of the sky. A dome, by linked light from heaven let down, sat gently on these columns as a crown. A window of one circular diamond there looked out above into the purple air, and rays from God shot down that meteor jade, and hallowed all the beauty twice again, save when, between the Empyrean and that ring, some eager spirit flapped his dusky wing. But on the pillars seraph eyes have seen the dimness of this world, that grayish green, that nature loves the best for beauty's grave, lurked in each cornice, round each architrave, and every sculptured cherub thereabout, that from his marble dwelling peered out, seemed earthly in the shadow of his niche, Achaean statues in a world so rich, friezes from Tadmor and Persepolis, from Baalbec in the stilly clear abyss, of beautiful Gomorrah, oh the wave is now upon thee, but too late to save. Sound loves to revel in a summer night, witness the murmur of the grey twilight that stole upon the ear in Erico of many a wild stargazer long ago, that stealeth ever on the ear of him who musing gazeth on the distance dim, and sees the darkness coming as a cloud. Is not its form, its voice, most palpable and loud? But what is this? It cometh and it brings a music with it, 'tis the rush of wings, a pause, and then a sweeping falling strain, and Nessos is in her halls again. From the wild energy of wanton haste, her cheeks were flushing and her lips apart, and zone that clung around her gentle waist had burst beneath the heaving of her heart. Within the centre of that hall to breathe, she paused and panted, Xanthe all beneath, the fairy light that kissed her golden hair, and longed to rest, yet could but sparkle there. Young flowers were whispering in melody to happy flowers that night, and tree to tree. Fountains were gushing music as they fell, in many a starlit grove or moonlit dell. Yet silence came upon material things, fair flowers, bright waterfalls, and angel wings, and sound alone that from the spirit sprang, bore burthen to the charm the maiden sang. Ne'er bluebell or streamer, or tufted wild spray, that keeps from the dreamer the moonbeam away. Bright beings that ponder, with half-closing eyes, on the stars which your wonder hath drawn from the skies, till they glance to the shade, and come down to your brow, like eyes of the maiden who calls on you now. Arise from your dreaming in violet bowers, to duty beseeming these star-litten hours, and shake from your tresses, encumbered with dew, the breath of those kisses that cumber them too. Oh, how without you, love, could angels be blessed? Those kisses of true love that lulled you to rest. Up, shake from your wing each hindering thing, the dew of the night, it would weigh down your flight, and true love caresses, oh, leave them apart. They are light on the tresses, but lead on the heart. Ligeia, Ligeia, my beautiful one, whose harshest idea will to melody run. Oh, is it thy will on the breezes to toss, or capriciously still, like the lone albatross, incumbent on night, as she on the air, to keep watch with delight on the harmony there? Ligeia, whatever thy image may be, no magic shall sever thy music from thee. Thou hast bound many eyes in a dreamy sleep, but the strains still arise, which thy vigilance keep. The sound of the rain, which leaps down to the flower, and dances again in the rhythm of the shower. The murmur that springs from the growing of grass, are the music of things, but are mottled, alas. Away then, my dearest, oh, hie thee away to springs that lie clearest beneath the moon ray, to lone lake that smiles in its dream of deep rest, at the many star isles that enjewel its breast, where wild flowers creeping have mingled their shade, on its margin is sleeping full many a maid. Some have left the cool glade, and have slept with the bee. Arouse them, my maiden, on moorland and lea. Go, breathe on their slumber, all softly, and ear the musical number they slumbered to hear. For what can awaken an angel so soon, whose sleep hath been taken beneath the cold moon, as the spell which no slumber of witchery may test, the rhythmical number which lulled him to rest? Spirits in wing, and angels to the view, a thousand seraphs verse the Empyrean through, young dreams still hovering on their drowsy flight, seraphs in all but knowledge, the keen light that fell refracted through the bounds by far, O death, from eye of God, upon that star. Sweet was that error, sweeter still that death, sweet was that error, even with us the breath of science dims the mirror of our joy. To them 'twere simoon and would destroy. For what to them availeth it to know that truth is falsehood, or that bliss is woe? Sweet was their death, with them to die was rife with the last ecstasy of satiate life. Beyond that death, no immortality, but sleep that pondereth and is not to be. And there, oh, may my weary spirit dwell, apart from heaven's eternity, and yet how far from hell? What guilty spirit, in what shrubbery dim, heard not the summons of that hymn? But too they fell, for heaven no grace imparts to those who hear not for their beating hearts. A maiden angel and her seraph lover, oh, where, and you may seek the wide skies over, was love the blind, near sober duty known, unguided love hath fallen mid tears of perfect moan. He was a goodly spirit, he who fell, a wanderer by mossy mantled well, a gazer on the lights that shine above, a dreamer in the moonbeam by his love. What wonder, for each star is eye like there, and looks so sweetly down on beauty's hair, and they and every mossy spring were holy to his love-haunted heart and melancholy. The night had found to him a night of woe. Upon a mountain crag, young Angelo, beetling it bends athwart the solemn sky, and scowls on starry worlds that down beneath it lie. Here sate he with his love, his dark eye bent, with eagle gaze along the firmament. Now turned it upon her, but ever then it trembled to the orb of earth again. Iante, dearest, see how dim that ray, how lovely 'tis to look so far away. She seemed not thus upon that autumn eve I left her gorgeous halls, nor mourned to leave. That eve, I should remember well. The sun ray dropped in Lemnos with a spell on the arabesque carving of a gilded hall, wherein I sate, and on the draperied wall, and on my eyelids, oh the heavy light, how drowsily it weighed them into night. On flowers before, and mist and love they ran, with Persian Saadi in his Gulistan. But oh that light I slumbered, death the while stole o'er my senses in that lovely isle, so softly that no single silken hair awoke that slept, or knew it was there. The last spot of earth's orb I trod upon was a proud temple called the Parthenon. More beauty clung around her columned wall than even thy glowing bosom beats withal. And when old time my wing did disenthrall, thence sprang I as the eagle from his tower, and years I left behind me in an hour. What time upon her airy bonds I hung, one half the garden of her globe was flown, unrolling as a chart unto my view, tenantless cities of the desert too. Beyond they beauty crowded on me then, and half I wished to be again of men. My Angelo, and why of them to be a brighter dwelling place is here for thee, and greener fields than in yon world above, and women's loveliness and passionate love. But list, Ianthe, when the air so soft failed as my pen and spirit leapt aloft. Perhaps my brain grew dizzy, but the world I left so late was into chaos hurled, sprang from her station on the wind's part, and rolled aflame the fiery heaven athwart. Methought, my sweet one, then I ceased to soar, and fell not swiftly as I rose before, but with a downward tremulous motion threw light brazen rays this golden star unto, nor long the measure of my falling hours, for nearest of all the stars was thine to ours, dread star that came amid a night of mirth, a red Daedalian on the timid earth. We came into thy earth, but not to us, be given Our Lady's bidding to discuss. We came, my love, around, above, below, gay firefly of the night, we come and go, nor ask a reason save the angel nod she grants to us as granted by her God. But Angelo, then thine grey time unfurled, never his fairy wing o'er fairier world. Dim was its little disk, and angel eyes alone could see the phantom in the skies. When first Elaraf knew her course to be headlong thitherward o'er the starry sea, but when its glory swelled upon the sky, as glowing beauty's bust beneath man's eye, we paused before the heritage of men, and thy star trembled, as doth beauty then. Thus in discourse the lovers whiled away the night that waned and brought no day. They fell, for heaven to them no hope imparts, who hear not for the beating of their hearts. Wow, and there are a lot of footnotes for this particular poem that I'm going to need to read through because it'll give a lot more history behind this. Because obviously, this poem is making A lot of references to very ancient things that I don't understand. So let me see. Where might be the most important ones? Hmm. Yeah, I mean, this is the longest poem that Edgar Allan Poe ever wrote. Um, so there's a lot to it. I'm not even sure if I pronounced all the names correctly. I tried my best. But yeah, there are a lot of notes. I'm definitely going to have to go over this in my own time and see what I can learn. Wow, and we're already almost at the end of our time for this evening. So let me get a little sip of water before I launch into probably one last poem. Hmm. Let me see how long this one is before I get into it. Oh, this is a short one. There we go. TikTok just got a little concerned because I've been streaming for a while. I guess most folks only stream for like 30 minutes usually, but I am going to be streaming for an hour each week. So let's read Romance. This one's a short one. And apparently this is actually the preface to Alaraf. Um, it says an expanded version appeared as an introduction to poems in 1831. The original shorter version was published under the title Romance in the August 30th, 1845 issue of the Broadway Journal and was included in the Raven and Other Poems in 1845. So here we go. Romance. Romance, who loves to nod and sing, with drowsy head and folded wing, among the green leaves as they shake, far down within some shadowy lake, to me a painted paroquet, hath been a most familiar bird, taught me my alphabet to say, to lisp my very earliest word, while in the wild wood I did lie, a child with a most knowing eye. Of late eternal condor years, so shake the very heaven on high, with tumult as they thunder by. I have no time for idle cares, through gazing on the the unquiet sky. And when an hour with calmer wings its down upon thy spirit flings, that little time with lyre and rhyme to while away forbidden things, my heart would feel to be a crime unless it trembled with the strings. Yeah, I don't like that one as much. I think his other writings are far more beautiful and a lot deeper. Yeah, let me see. Oh, here's another very, very short one. Ah, here we go. This is one that might be right up my alley. It says Sonnet to Science. For those of you who don't know, I have extensively studied science. I have a Bachelor of Science actually from A&M. So let's see. It says this one first appeared without a title in Alaraf, Tamerlan, and Minor Poems in 1829. This version was published in the August 2nd, 1845 issue of the Broadway Journal. So just like the previous one. So Sonnet to Science. Science, true daughter of old time thou art, who alterest all things with thy peering eyes. Why preyest thou thus upon the poet's heart, vulture whose wings are dull realities? How should he love thee, or how deem thee wise, who wouldst not leave him in his wandering, to seek for treasure in the jeweled skies, albeit he soared with an undaunted wing? Hast thou not dragged Diana from her car, and driven the Hamadryad from the wood, to seek a shelter in some happier star? Hast thou not torn the Naiad from her flood, the elfin from the green grass, and from me the summer dream beneath the tamarind tree? Wow, that one's random. Look, just because someone is a genius, it doesn't mean that every single thing they created is wonderful. Um, you know, obviously, this guy is famous for having written some very beautiful works. Not all of them are amazing. That's just not how being an artist works. But I do think I am almost out of time. I think I will read one last one, Lenore, before I head out and call it a night for the stream. Lenore. Ah, broken is the golden bowl, the spirit flown forever. Let thy bell toll, a saintly soul floats on the Stygian river. And Guy hast thou no tear, weep now or nevermore? See, on yon drear and rigid bier loth lies thy love, Lenore. Come, let the burial rite be read, the funeral song be sung, an anthem for the queenliest dead that ever died so young. A dirge for her, the doubly dead, in that she died so young. Wretches, you loved her for her wealth and hated her for her pride. And when she fell in feeble health, ye blessed her that she died. How shall the ritual then be read, the requiem how be sung? By you, by yours, the evil eye, by yours, the slanderous tongue, that did to death the innocent that died, and died so young. Peccavimus, but rave not thus, and let a Sabbath song go up to God so solemnly the dead may feel so wrong. The sweet Lenore hath gone before with hope that flew beside, leaving thee wild for the dear child that should have been thy bride. For her the fair and debonair that now so lowly lies, the life upon her yellow hair, but not within her eyes. The life still there upon her hair, the death upon her eyes. Avaunt tonight, my heart is light, no dirge will I upraise, but waft the angel on her flight with a paean of old days. Let no bell toll, lest her sweet soul, amid its hallowed mirth, should catch the note as it doth float up from the damned earth. To friends above, from friends below, the indignant ghost is riven from hell unto a high estate far up within the heaven, from grief and groan to a golden throne beside the King of Heaven. Hey, Allie, I am just about to wrap everything up. I've been reading since 6, but I hope everyone who has joined has enjoyed just going through a little bit of Edgar Allan Poe. I will pick this up again in another couple of weeks. I'm going to be switching through my different themes on live streams, but I do stream every Thursday from 6 to 7 in Central Time. So, thanks everybody for watching. I am out.